For USCFootball.com, Connor Morrissette and Chris Trevino were here on campus after Wednesday's practice of Georgia Southern Week. Chris, as always, we got a lot to get to, but first, how's it going?
Pretty good. Last practice that we can see or observe, or however you want to call it, before Clay Helton Week. I know I've been saying it a lot, embrace the weird, but I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, not a ton to observe, but we do watch the guys come out before practice. And Brian Jackson not padded up today. We'll try to get an update from Lincoln Riley on USC's running back. Looks like we might not see him Saturday, but we'll see. That's definitely not set in stone. Anything else from tunnel observations? Anything you want to add on Jackson?
Not the end of the world. I mean, it's a running back. You have two really good running backs. Walk-on King Miller, as we know, has some juice to him, so... You also have Harry Dalton, the freshman, who has impressed as a runner. So you got bodies. It's okay. It's going to be fine. And then D. Reddick, the freshman, safety, defensive back, who has been enrolled in the summer, for the majority of time has been in a yellow non-contact jersey. I believe there was one practice we saw where he was out of it, then he was right back in it. Today, he was out of it. That's, a notable step forward. That is a positive for him, getting full contact, maybe getting some run at some point during the season, but he is very far behind. But positive first step, seeing him out of the yellow non-contact jersey.
The staff is really high on D. Reddick, so you're right. It is a little bit late here for him to get ramped up, but he's a guy who they certainly have high hopes for. I assume Chasen Johnson looked good and was ready to go, you think?
I was just going to say Chasen Johnson was out there. Joey Olsen was suited up. Anthony Beavers was suited up. Jakeem Stewart came out very happy, rapping along to the music. He is itching to get out there. All those guys were full pads, or it was a shells practice, not a full pads practice, but they were fully dressed out for practice. So all those guys, we expect them are on the right track. And Prince Strachan was padded out as well for practice after kind of tweaking his ankle. Doesn't look like it's bothering him too much. Maybe we'll get a full update on that, but he looks fine.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the three guys who maybe will have a questionable designation going into the weekend: kicker Caden Chittenden, nickel Alex Graham, and then running back Brian Jackson. Anyone else?
I think that's about it, unless we're talking about freshman Cash Jacobson, but he's been banged up a little bit, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I'd say in terms of guys who would have a chance to play. We heard from Danton Lynn after practice. He said that on the coverage bus there just wasn't enough communication. He had a funny line that I liked. He said, if we're all on the same page, that's good. That's obviously the best case scenario. If we're not all on the same page, but we communicated the wrong thing, that's good too, because then we're all going to be doing the same thing. What he didn't like on that play was not everyone being on the same page. I believe DJ Harvey and Kennedy Urlacher were in on that, but really that's one of the only big nitpicks from the game. Some of the run fits maybe could have been a little better, but when you win 73-13, Elijah Newbie was asked, were there any critiques from the linebacker crew, or for the linebacker crew, and he said no. Coach Ryan and Coach Lynn, it was all love. So that stood out to me. And we asked him about Anthony Lucas because he was the only starter to play in the second half for USC, and Lynn said that was just about getting Lucas back because he missed all the spring after getting hurt against Penn State. He played a little bit off the line of scrimmage at times. They just want to get him back to where he was before that Penn State injury. And we asked him about Matai Tagoai, the true freshman linebacker, because he popped in that second half, and he made some mistakes. He freelanced a couple times, but he had that forced fumble, and Lynn said there are plays that we know that he's capable of running, which makes me think maybe he could have a role down the line. It seems like potentially he could play this year. On defense, he's probably not going to redshirt, be a special teams guy, but do you think we could see him on defense down the line in a tighter game? That might be a bridge too far, but it seemed like Lynn didn't rule that out.
Absolutely. I mean, Matai, very talented linebacker out of San Clemente by way of Las Vegas. He was one of my favorite signings I had in that class. 6'4", 195 pounds. Still a little skinny. Needs to add some weight to his frame, obviously, but really violent, great instincts, and an impressive edge rusher. I mean, go watch some of those highlights from his days at San Clemente. He is fantastic off the edge. Reminds you a little bit of Eric Gentry, how good Eric Gentry is as a pass rusher. That's kind of the comp we've been kind of throwing out. Not quite as tall, obviously, and as lanky, but has some of those traits that Eric has as a pass rusher. And one of the big things Dan Dillon was talking about is yeah, he's going to make mistakes, but he likes that he makes mistakes at full speed. And this is a coaching point or a coaching ism that we've heard before is like, if you're going to make mistakes, do it at full speed. Everyone out there is moving at full speed, so you might as well go as well. We can work with someone who's making mistakes at full speed. What we don't want is someone thinking about making a mistake and then doing it at a slow pace. If you're going to do it 100%, even if it's wrong. So that is something that D'Anton Lynn likes about Matai. Yeah, he's making mistakes, but at least he's doing it at 110%.
You said the same thing about Jakeem Stewart as well, who's all set to make his debut Saturday, as Chris talked about off the top. I think that's worth the price of admission alone for USC fans. Just the fact that you get to see this potentially generational defensive lineman play and make that first start. Like, everyone followed his recruitment so closely. That's what's so fun about college football, the highs, the lows. When you get that marquee player and he plays that first game, there's something to be said about that. And if he pops and has a couple nice plays, we'll all remember, okay, that was when Jakeem Stewart really got started. So I know I'm really excited to see what he can do Saturday.
And he's more anxious than anyone on this team. Remember, he's only played 1 year of high school football, and he did not play last year because he transferred to be able to reclassify to this class. So the fact that he is extra delayed and getting some football under his belt over a year of not having played football, yeah, he is super anxious to get on the field, as D'Anton Lynn said, he's ready to get out there. Obviously been delayed a game. We'll have to get a full update on clearance. The word from the big man, Lincoln Riley, that he is good to go, but he at least now is on track to suit up on Saturday and make his debut. And there are stretches where he looks like the best player on the field, and I'm excited to see if he can have some of those moments in the Coliseum on Saturday.
I think Stewart put something on X that pretty much said he was playing Saturday, so Lincoln Riley, of course, will have to verify that, but all signs are pointing towards go for him, and he just seems so confident. He walks out with Floyd Boucard, another confident younger guy. You can just tell with these guys, they feel like they belong, and I think that's half the battle. When you make that adjustment from high school football to college football, first step is, do I belong out here? And clearly, Jakeem Stewart, he's massive. He certainly fits the bill. So I'm really excited, as I said, to see him play this first game, and USC fans, I'm sure you are as well. We also heard today from Elijah Newbie, the linebacker, who I think led USC in tackles because he played a little in the first half and into the second half. They just wanted to get him as many reps as possible after switching back to linebacker from defensive end. He's just such a positive guy. He is really happy to be at USC. He's really thankful, really grateful, and he just has a great energy about him. He prides himself on being one of the energy players on this roster. He's a good special teams guy as well, and he said the team is really close this year because they all want to be here. There's no one who wakes up in the morning and says, I don't want to go to practice or I don't want to go to this team meeting. They all feel connected. They're all on the same page. And chemistry guys, and also really talented guys. But Elijah Newbie, to me, strikes me as a chemistry guy, a guy who's good for the locker room, someone who is really respected and really appreciated by the coaches and players.
Definitely an energy guy down there on the field during warm-ups. I tweeted it out. Yeah. Like, this linebacker room is juice, especially Elijah Newbie. He is just, the energy was just vibrating off of him. Jaden Walker's a little bit like that. He's kind of a go-getter, juice guy. Eric Gentry, we know, is a juice guy. They got a lot of juice guys in that room, and Elijah Newbie is making a case to be one of their top guys. He was so fired up to hit somebody, and then 5 tackles led the team. I know it's not a crazy number, but there was a lot of rotation. Obviously, guys didn't play in the second half, but great start for him to his season, and someone we were really excited about seeing move to defensive end, move back to the linebacker. We'll see what his role ends up being, but right now it looks like he's got a good path to being at least a rotational linebacker. They're not going to rotate that much, but at least get him on the field at time for certain packages and definitely be a backup.
And he'll be a special teams guy, too.
Absolutely.
He just has that great special teams energy. I could see him taking over for Christian Pierce as a second-year player who's like the MVP special teamer, and then maybe this year he could have a big role in defense, but like a year from now I could see him really molding into a big defensive contributor. So he seems to be on the right path. Christian Pierce made his first career start on defense for USC. He spoke today. What'd you hear from him, Chris?
Shout out to a fellow Christian, not a Christopher. Both Christians. Yeah, Christian was very excited about the first start. He is someone who has waited his turn. It's been a patient 3 years to get to this point. He said he found out about the start about a week before the game, and he was very excited about it. It meant a lot to him, and it meant a little more just having waited for this opportunity. Got injured his first year, contributed on special teams, was a big special teams guy last year, couldn't really crack the rotation consistently. Now he is kind of like that third safety. He has that third safety spot for right now, and he made some plays out there brought a lot of good energy. Looks like a guy that they're going to use a lot in 2025. So he was just really excited about the start that he got off to this season with, getting that start and being able to play in a talented safety room, with Kamari Ramsey and Bishop Fitzgerald. Said a lot of great things about Bishop Fitzgerald and his way to just get to the ball and, obviously playmaker out there. So Christian looking for his first turnover. So Sharks in that room, they're excited to add some more turnovers. Maybe this weekend and, obviously for the full season.
He's going to have a big role this year. You mentioned how he found out a week ago he was starting. That wasn't on the depth chart, Chris, that they released. He wasn't a starter on the depth chart. What happened?
He didn't really imply if it was like that week, but it sounded like he was earlier in the week is what he was talking about. So I don't know. Maybe it was the next day. I don't know. Maybe they're doing a little show game with us. See one thing, see the other. So yeah, they had 3 linebackers on their starting thing, but went out with 3 safeties. So yeah, it's all right.
I kid. Kamari Ramsey ended up starting at nickel because Alex Graham was hurt. That opened the door for Pierce. I'm sure they did know about that before they released the depth chart, but that's why you always got to take those with a grain of salt. Bishop Fitzgerald spoke today, the Pro Football Focus #1 graded safety from week 1, had the pick 6, pass breakup, 1 or 2 tackles for loss, maybe a half tackle for loss. But either way, he was all over the field. Incredible USC debut from him. And I was talking to some of the other reporters, Chris. What a great interview. What a great kid. Someone who's so easy to root for. He played quarterback in high school, got a bunch of D2 offers, and then said, hey, I want to go D1 eventually. My path to do that probably isn't at quarterback, so he goes the JUCO route, plays safety. Took 2 years to really get acclimated, went to NC State, now is at USC. That's a really fun part about college football right now, where these guys can have these long journeys to get to the top of the sport, and Fitzgerald fits that to a T. He loves being in Dathan Lynn's defense, and the most interesting thing that I heard from him today, he retweeted a couple of clips of Marquise Gallegos, the sophomore or the second-year freshman safety, and I just asked him, why'd you do that? Why'd you choose to highlight your teammate? And he said, when I got here, I'm an older guy, but you kind of got to leave your egos at the door when you're a transfer. And I was asking Christian Pierce, I was asking Marquise, how to go about doing things. I was asking them freshman questions because I was like a freshman, and Marquise was one of the guys who really helped them out, and they're really close. They've developed the bond since Bishop got here in December, and it seems like that's just a really nice story. We've heard a lot about how close that safety room is, how close the team is, and that was on full display Saturday. Shotgun just tweeted out how the linebackers were going nuts when Matai Tagoai made that great play in the fourth quarter. The bond of the group definitely seems a little different this year, and that's the classic cliche. All teams go through it, but it does feel a little different to me this year.
And Marquise deserves some love. He made some good plays, some big hits, kind of known as a big hitter, displayed it on Saturday. So, yeah, he deserves some of that love. And Christian Pierce also gave him some love, too. He's like, I was really excited to go see him go out there. He's grown so much over the year that, they played together. And he was really excited for the success that he was having on Saturday. And Danton Lynn, Marquise was one of the guys that he shouted out as he popped in the second half when you're getting those, young guys in the game. So, just overall on Bishop Fitzgerald, him playing quarterback makes sense. He knows the ins and outs, just playing quarterback. That's why he was all over the field. You can read the quarterback's eye so well. Looks like he is so fundamentally sound, and he's so disciplined. That's why he can make a lot of those plays that he did on Saturday. I'm excited to see what he does in his encore for this Saturday. And, we talked about it. I thought he was super underrated going into the season. Not underrated anymore, and he's only going to get more buzz. So a great start to him, #1 safety PFF.
Yeah, couldn't be any higher rated right now.
I hope you bought stock is what I was saying.
Were you in on the Ryan Sayeri scrum, or was that a mod?
That was a mod, but we did talk a little bit about it. He was kind of shy a little bit, then opened up. I think the big thing he said, he talks to Michael Lance every day. Michael Lance, the former kicker who handled field goal and place kicking duties for USC last year, as the transfer from Georgia Southern. Maybe he's getting some insight into Georgia Southern there. But he said he talks to Michael Lance every day. Probably going to call him after he just did his scrum, which might be his first one. But, I think that's a great influence, obviously. Michael Lance was pretty solid here, especially on kickoffs, and that's something Ryan exceeded at on Saturday. 9 of 11. One did go out of bounds, but for the most part, he was pretty money, and that's a department they need to keep up high production, because you see, before Michael Lance's touchback production last year, they weren't really good on coverage. So get in the end zone, don't even have your coverage team worry about it. So let's see if Ryan Sayeri can keep that up. And the big question is what's going to happen when Caden comes back. I think Ryan's going to hold on to that place kicking job. kickoff job, not field goals. I think Caden will eventually beat him out eventually as the All-American from UNLV. But he's got to do it. He's got to beat him out. But I think he'll hold on to the kickoff job.
Sari did make a great first impression, so that'll be something to watch. Last thing, Chris, Clay Helton and Georgia Southern come to town Saturday. It's a big spread, 28.5. Have you given any thought to how you're going to pick this game this week?
I'm hammering USC.
Yeah.
I don't care.
How can you not?
I don't care what the points are. Add 10 more points, whatever. I'll still take it. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw on Saturday. I think they're just going to take them to the woodshed, and it's not going to be a great reunion or homecoming for Clay Helton.
I see it similarly. He's Chris Trevino. I'm Connor Morrissette. We will see you Saturday, but Chris has one more point.
I did want to shout out Braylon Shelby because I did get to talk to
Oh, my
Braylon.
Goodness. I forgot Braylon Shelby. Sorry, Braylon, if you're watching this. Does he watch these? Probably not, but sorry, Braylon.
He might. He's on the internet, but just wanted to quickly shout him out. Great start to him. 3.5 tackles for a loss. 2 sacks in the stat sheet. Did have that one nice one in the end of in the second quarter, I believe. But, if you look at them, they weren't all like pure tackles for a loss. There were a couple of combined. There was some where he, ran the guy out of bounds. Yeah, so it wasn't like a pure full 3.5, but he was really excited about the start. He's like, this is what I wanted. I wanted to have a great start and have 3.5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. I think that's a great start. So his confidence is really high, and that's what you need from Braylon Shelby. He has the potential to be a really special player. He has an NFL type physique and traits that you can't teach, and all 3 of those guys do. With Cameron Fountain and Anthony Lucas, Braylon, freak athlete. He was on the freaks list one year, I believe his sophomore year. So a lot of potential there. Just got to pull out a little bit more. Got to get more consistency. And again, I know it's Missouri State, but it does wonders to have a confident start like that. And then obviously one big question I wanted to answer is like what this new little sack celebration the D-line was doing on Saturday. Obviously they got a lot of pressure, a lot of tackles for loss and sacks. So I wanted to ask what it was. Maybe you saw it on Saturday, but it looks like they're playing a drum. They would do this when they would celebrate with a teammate. And I asked him, so what is that? What are you guys doing? Are you guys playing a drum? What's going on there? He's like, he laughed about it. He's like, yeah, Coach Henderson, when he's talking about pass rushing, he makes this movement, like your arms churning a little bit. So they just turned that into a sack celebration. So now when someone goes there, they go, just like he does when he's demonstrating the pass rush. So it's a simple yet I think effective celebration when you get a sack.
I love it, and if it was up to me, that would have been left out. So false start on me, 5-yard penalty. That'll be accepted next week on Tuesday. Enough of the jokes. He's Chris Trevino. I'm Connor Morrissette. We'll see you at the Coliseum Saturday. Like I said last week, if you see us, say hi. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.